Welcome back to the Leadership and Innovation series, and here we are at the Dapper in Cape Town, and it's a great pleasure to be getting Anton Musgrave from Future World on camera to talk about innovation. In your role, your experience, you've dealt with lots and lots of CEOs, lots of corporates.
Yeah.
They should be able to innovate faster, and yet they seem unable to. Why is that?
So it's a fascinating question, and it's one I come across around the world all the time, across all industries. So it's almost as a universal failing of leadership in the world, and I'm not sure where that started, but nonetheless, I think the issue really is the quarterly focus on performance numbers means companies don't have a risk budget.
Yeah.
And what amount of money are companies prepared to invest and prepared to lose or fail with in the quest to do things differently, innovate, challenge processes, create new products, see if they work, and move on. And so that's one thing. I think the second thing that I come across so often is that organizations build structures and processes which seem to try and optimize the internal management of the organization, but aren't aimed at creating external customer excitement in the marketplace. And then when you introduce something disruptive and new into that system, that very well entrenched system, what we call the corporate antibodies kind of rise up and try and kill that. And I think the third thing is the remuneration systems in the world are simply not geared around rewarding people adequately for when these risky things or these innovative things really work. So you innovate and you come across a great idea, you make it work, you build a 100 million opportunity out of it, and you get given 2 restaurant vouchers for you and your partner to go to a restaurant. It's that kind of thinking. That's the one part of the remuneration. The other, of course, is we reward executives on short-term performance metrics, and we don't link that to how do they change the way they're doing things, how do they create new ways of doing things and new things to do, and we don't seem to build that into the system. And as we all know with human beings, they game the remuneration system. So if you reward one thing, that's the behavior you're going to get. And so those 3 things, I think the willingness to take risk with a budget for it, a formally structured budget for it, the willingness to battle those impediments internal to the organization, and then the way you reward people.
Your job as being one of the partners at Future World is to go and help corporates to become more innovative. How do you get over that?
So I guess that's why I'm so busy. It is a real problem. And for me, the fundamental shift is how do you recalibrate the way the brain works in a leader of a business, if you like. So how do they see the scale of the opportunity in the future? How do they see the threat that faces them unless they do things differently? And then how do you get them to see the potential of what's possible if they did things differently and thought differently? Yeah. So it starts really with the reigniting this human spirit, if I can use that word, in a leader, stepping out of the reality of operational delivery and focus and so forth, and just reigniting human spirit. And once you get that right, then the practical consequences, and they are significant, of executing differently and of innovating differently, that you can then work with. But you've got to inspire the human.
And how do you do that? Because effectively that's what you and your colleagues at Future World are trying to do.
Yeah. I would say the first thing is to have a very clear, compelling story that you can share internally and externally with the world about what it is that you want to end up being some years from now. So what is your aspirational destination?
By that you mean like incredibly profitable and working in 30 different geographies?
To me, the profitable piece is a consequence of doing something else really well. So what is it that you're doing that the world will miss if you weren't around? What is that place, what is that story that will inspire people to actually go beyond the expected in order to help you achieve that? What will excite customers, what in the story will excite customers to want to engage with you?
So that sounds like a purposeful target, not necessarily a profitable.
That's exactly it. So what is your ultimate raison d'etre in the world? Yeah. It's not to sell more product, it's for something else. So what is that thing you're trying to solve for? Yeah. Get clarity around that from a future backwards perspective.
Okay, so a lot of companies are going to struggle with that.
Absolutely.
So that's the first step. If you do that well and you create a purpose, what's the other 2 recommendations? To me, it would be to then clear the path for what people need to do to go and build that. Yeah. So look at, do an audit of every single process in the organization. Which of those are actually enabling the achievement of that and which are not contributing to that at all? Yeah. And then kill them, actively kill them. And that's really, really difficult to do. So do you have the courage to do that?
And then the third thing is to just find a way of motivating your people to do brilliant things. So recognize them, reward them, create an internal operating system which promotes risk-taking, which promotes people pushing the boat out and trying new things.
You see, I didn't expect you to say that for the third thing.
What did you expect?
I thought you would use the opportunity to say the third thing would be call Anton. So we'll give you one more.
Okay, 3A and 3B, shall we say?
3A and 3B.
3A and 3B.
Yeah.
Give me a ring at Future World. We'll help you.
Give him a ring at Future World. We'll put all the details up straight after this. It is impressive, the companies that he's dealt with. When you deal with them, one last question is, how many of them do actually turn, and how many, when you walk away, you know it's going to be really hard for them to go and take the advice and do the things that they're trying to do?
Most of the clients at least try and do different things. The real test comes down to your ability as the leadership team to persuade the board to give you the free rein to go and do sometimes very different things.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying move from a car manufacturer to a bedding manufacturer. I'm talking about just things that are in fact not that radical but seem internally to be quite radical.
So thank you very much, Anton.
Cool.
Chat soon.